Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things Rogue Matter. I am your host, Michael Dolce, as always, joined by my cohort in crime, the magnanimous, I don't know, that's all I got. I was trying to think of like lots of big words.
Magnanimous. That's an adjective
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I was trying to think of lots of big words. The Lord of the Radio himself.
Illustrious. I like illustrious.
Oh, I'll go illustrious. Hassan Godwin, how you doing, sir?
Preeminent. Next time, try preeminent. That's a good one. I'm fine.
Stream this show on youtube.com/Rogue Matter or on facebook.com/We Are Rogue Matter, twitch.tv/We Are Rogue Matter, Twitter @Rogue_Matter. See, we got it. We're covered everywhere. We have to change the Twitter handle though. We should just keep it consistent, right?
I'm out of the marketing phase of
I'm looping you in on
development.
I'm looping you in.
No, I don't want that.
So Rogue Matter is an awesome content company. We do podcasts, but aside from that, we do comics and ebooks. But this week, dropping new content every Wednesday. And this week is Data Decoded. She is a data guru. I am a pop culture geek, so I got a new hosting gig there. So, boom, Data Decoded. She's pretty cool. She's Deanna McFadder, and what she does is break down the different comics, movies, TV shows. We pick like one specific thing about it, and she lets us know if this is actually happening in the real world. She decodes it for us. So examples: Skynet. How close are we to Skynet? That's one of our episodes. Minority Report. How close are we to actually creating?
Very far away from Minority Report.
That's episode. I think that's episode 4.
Yeah, but
you're gonna have to check that one out. I don't think we're as far away as you think from doing a Minority Report. Now,
unless she knows that there are precognitives being held in a deprivation tank somewhere, pumping out the future, then I'm going to say we're kind of far off.
No, but all the technology they use to do it, we're not far away at all. The facial recognition, being able to spot someone in a satellite.
Oh, we have all that now, but I mean, you can't predetermine when someone's going to commit a crime.
That's the only part that we're far away.
And then have a SWAT team ready to go at a moment's notice to drop in through your ceiling and kidnap you and put you in cryogenic sleep until your crime that you have not committed yet is over.
Well, if you do it on social media, the government right now is going to get you because they've got their new Ministry of Truth that's out there. So you never know. I'm telling you, you never know. You got to tune in. This the first episode, we go into the movie Her and discuss fictosexuals and falling in love with artificial intelligence. So you can't go wrong. It's actually really fascinating. Her company is Nachi. They're one of the leading data companies that she founded, and people, government uses them. Private companies use them. Like it's really impressive. So
I believe you worded that slightly wrong, but okay.
What, fictosexual?
No, fictosexuals and AI infatuations and stuff like that. And then the next thing you said was you can't go wrong. I think you mean the show. I don't think you mean the actual fetish.
Decoded. Yeah, Data Decoded is.
I'm just trying to help you, man. You're a married man. I'm just trying to keep you in the straight and narrow.
Is it cheating if you fall in love with AI?
It is.
I don't think it is.
No, it's where the heart is. Cheating is where the heart is.
So if you fall in love with somebody but you don't actually sleep with them, that's cheating.
It can be construed as that. It could break. Do you not think that falling in love with someone else could break up a marriage, even if there's no cheating?
Is that emotional cheating? Like, what if you're just like infatuated with somebody? I guess, yeah.
Do you not think that could pretty much tank a relationship? I think it does. I think it could. It depends. It really depends.
I mean, it shows that you don't actually follow through on your thoughts. I mean, you have thoughts to
that could be used against you though. It's like, how come you're such a slacker then? How come you don't have to follow through?
The solution is just not to get married.
The solution is not to disclose ever anything.
Correct. Especially if you fall in love with your iPhone. Don't.
I don't know why I would have the need to tell anybody that anyway. I really don't.
Catch you.
I don't want to. I don't want to join a group. I don't want to be part of a program. I don't want to be part of a. I want no one to come between me and my phone. Okay, so that's just for the best. Keep your canoodling to yourself. That's what I say.
All right, well, let's flash that logo on screen one more time. Data Decoded. Tune in. Actually, the debut episode is going to debut. If you're watching us on the live stream right now, it's going to debut right after this live stream. So that's pretty cool. And the podcast goes live immediately after that as well too.
Yay, timing.
So yeah, look at that. We seem to know what we're doing.
We are unbelievable with the timing.
We've got a great show tonight.
It's the internet.
We have a great show tonight. We've got actress Ceila Au going to be joining us.
We talked about those accolades, dude. We talked about that lead-in line.
No, but this is actually a really great show because that was one of the best interviews we've ever had.
So now it's like this is actually a really great show as opposed to all the other times we said it was a great show, but it wasn't actually.
Well, we weren't sure. You can say like we have a great show, but you're never sure. Like it might be a great show, it might not be a great show. This is a great show. Ceila Au is
gaslighting.
Easily one of my favorite guests we've ever had. She gets you to react in ways I can't get you to react. So I thought that was pretty.
Well, she was actually nice,
it's very true.
Talked directly to me, and she was intelligent. So there's.
I resemble that remark. But she's got a new movie called In a New York Minute that's out. She talks about filming during a pandemic. It's a film that focuses on Asian American, 3 Asian Americans who are. It's kind of like a sliding doors kind of thing. They are all kind of interconnected, and it's a cool movie. She's awesome in it, and she talks about that. But she also talks about her favorite films growing up. And her life, moving from Hong Kong over to Brooklyn. It was awesome interview. So we got that coming up very soon. We're gonna do a Rogue reaction to Moon Knight, or Rogue review, I guess. Well, I put reaction, but I think it's really we're gonna look at the entire series and see where it falls in the pantheon of Marvel comics. But I'm gonna start off today with May the 4th be with you. I mean, it just happened to be the 4th. Look at that. It happened on our show, and look at Lucasfilm coming out with a new Obi-Wan trailer. It's as if they knew there was something to do here. I'm shocked though.
It's like they have a marketing team or something strange.
But why wouldn't they put out like the first episode of Obi-Wan on May the 4th? Like I know they're doing it, or their original plan was to do it on the 25th, which is like the Star Wars release day. But like why wouldn't
1977?
Right. But why wouldn't you do it? Like, why wouldn't you do it now? Like what could be the reasoning for not?
Because they wanted to release it on the anniversary of the time of the New Hope, 1977. Also, probably because there are elements of it that are not complete yet, which is why they had to push it back 2 days anyway.
I know.
So so it's going to come out at the end of the month as opposed to on the 25th. It's going to come out the 27th, I think, 27th of the 28th. So it's not ready yet. That's why. Also, they got burned already, like trying to adhere to the specifics of whatever date, because then we had the Solo, a Star Wars story, which theoretically didn't do well. One of the theories, there are many theories as to why it didn't do well, but it theoretically didn't do well because it was too soon to be released right after The Last Jedi, and if they had waited till December, they might have had a better chance. Might have had a better season, better chance. People, people would have got up and went to go see it. So. Maybe they're not going to get burned again. That's their attitude. Who knows?
One thing I've noticed in all the pictures too, Ewan McGregor looks strikingly familiar to Eddie Vedder. Like strikingly similar. Sorry, not familiar. Similar to Eddie Vedder. Like it's really kind of crazy. Like how much they look alike. I don't know why. I just thought of that now, but I saw it. I was like, he looks just like him. So to me, this is now Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam fame on the desert sands of Tatooine.
All right. I guess it's still something I'd watch. But I'm not doing my Eddie Vedder impression. I almost did it, but I'm not doing it.
I'll say this about the trailer. There's not much to say. I mean, we're not really like reviewing this and going in depth because I think it's going to just come down to whether or not it's a good show or not. But I will say seeing the familiar overlays, designs, the world of Star Wars, packaged in a way that most resembles the Star Wars I grew up with, is always exciting. You know, it's always exciting to see these visual elements of A New Hope, of, you know, the original trilogy, you know, in new content. You know, like I can't help but get kind of transported back in time, you know, mentally a little bit, even though this is new content. So there's this element of, you know, continuity between like my old self and my new self, like all together. You know, those are always my impressions watching this trailer. The other impression though I get is, so I always seem to walk away from these things thinking to myself, Mandalorian is a great example of they were able to actually really create a new universe, and just how difficult that is. Like, it's just so easy to go back to the well of things that are familiar to us, that already have a built-in following, like the original trilogy and Star Wars, you know, like even within the Star Wars universe, right? Like Star Wars itself doesn't necessarily need you to have seen the previous movie, you know, doesn't it, you know, it already has you. It doesn't need to bring you in somehow. It's not like, oh, I've never heard of Star Wars before, because it just has that brand. But I feel like all this new content is centered around stuff we've already seen, you know, and I don't know if
how is Mandalorian not centered on something we've already seen?
How is it not? I feel they managed to do something with Mandalorian. I agree with you. It does, right? It's because
I mean, we had the Boba Fett visual, and then we have the Baby Yoda, and then we have the
Baby Yoda we didn't know about.
Stormtroopers, and we've got speeder bikes, and we've got spaceships, and we've got planets, and we've got desert planets and ice planets, and we've got carbon freezing chambers, and we've got we've got the Bounty Hunters Guild, and we've got quite a few things that we've seen already. So I don't quite understand. I don't quite agree with you about, like, you know, it wasn't exactly created out of whole cloth. You know?
No, well, okay. I guess Mandalorian is the best example of not revisiting a story that we've experienced
character,
already.
Maybe.
Right. And but I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. It's all based on stuff we've already seen. Also, I don't disagree with you on that.
It's kind of forcing itself to revisit the Mandalorian story of, you know, the Siege of Mandalore, and the Purge, and the Night of 1,000 Tears, and all that stuff, which is all canon, you know, which is already So the Dark Saber, you know, they've got the
that's all stuff from the cartoon though, right?
Faces. It's not a cartoon. It's the animated series.
Okay.
It's not a cartoon.
It's not comic book. It's graphic novel.
I'm just trying to keep you from semantical trouble. You
okay
laugh at me, but you'll get roasted, dude.
I'm okay with it. I'm roasted every day. What do I care? Yeah, no. So what were your thoughts when you see the trailer? Any new insight that you get, or no?
No, not really. Listen, the unfortunate thing for me, and this is an unfortunate thing to say. Yeah. I haven't been impressed with either of the trailers too much. It seems like really stilted writing. Now, I know that we are not seeing any writing from the show yet. We're seeing a lot of setup, and we're seeing, you know, they're dropping in a lot of catchphrases to be intriguing and that kind of thing. Also, the visuals to me kind of seem very fan film-ish.
Okay.
So I'm thinking they're holding their best, you know, interpretation of the show, their best production quality, scenery, and things like that. I'm thinking, I know they sunk you know, theoretically, like this is hyperbolic, but I know they sunk $1 billion into this.
Yeah. No,
and they put a lot of research and development into it. I know this is because, you know, look, if Obi-Wan tanks, that's going to kill the brand. You know, that's going to put the brand in hock for quite a long time. So I know that this is not going to be short-shrifted by any stretch of the imagination. Right. That said, the trailers themselves have not been too impressive.
Yeah. I don't actually disagree with anything.
It feels like, I think if I saw those trailers and that was fanfic, I think that was the most amazing fanfic And I would be like, give that guy the job. Give him the job. Whoever did this fanfic, give him or her the job.
Well, buddy, if you're going to give him the job, then technically he's already got the job. Right?
You know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. Yes.
I'm being hyperbolic.
I know what you're saying. You're like, wow, he did it on a shoestring budget, not he had.
That's what I'm talking about. Just like the guy who did the deep fake, who's now working for Lucasfilm. Give them the jobs.
Yeah.
But this is Lucasfilm, so it shouldn't look fan film-ish. It should look like, it should look like the films.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, it should look like the 10th Star Wars film or 12th. If you,
I wonder about that too. Because I know they do have great budgets and everything, but they're still not movie level budgets now anymore. I mean, it is still a TV show when all is said and done. So I give them a little bit. The
Mandalorian looks like on par with a lot of the visuals that you get from the films, and so did the Book of Boba Fett to an extent. A lot of the effects and stuff like that from Book of Boba Fett looked pretty on par with what we've been seeing. So, like I'm saying, this looks like a lot of that stuff from Obi-Wan looks like pre-vised.
Yeah.
Like pre-production special effects. Like things are they're on the cusp of being finished, but not quite finished yet, but finished enough to be impressive.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, it looks like a lot of concept effects as opposed to actual finished effects. To me, and I know I'm going to get roasted also, but I don't care. I never care.
I'm okay. I'm okay with getting roasted if it happens for my semantics of cartoon versus animated, but got to be careful. I guess the internet is a beast, right?
I'm just trying to keep the conversation light. That's all. So that was my goal right there.
A little bit of sad news.
Because you were about to sass the cartoon anyway, because it's the anime, so I don't pay attention. So I just decided to derail that.
And I applaud it. I applaud everything you're trying to do there.
I appreciate being applauded.
A little bit of sad news this past week. A little bit of sad news, which is the passing of comics great Neal Adams, the legendary Batman artist, DC artist, which is what he's well known for, Green Arrow, specifically Green Lantern. He passed away at the age of 80, which, again, I think that's a good, he lived an extraordinary life. So that's always a good thing, but always sad as well, too, obviously, that he passed. Details surrounding his passing, I would imagine he kept private, but he was a huge influence. He was a huge influence on the comic book world. He was a huge influence on, the characters that you're loving right now. Not you personally, but the kids out there. He introduced serious storylines. I mean, he had the whole, sidekick, drug heroin story. That was him. He first came to prominence in the 60s and 70s. This is from Comics Beat, with his photorealistic style of art in comics that sent a jolt through the industry, together with Denny O'Neil, who also sadly passed away. He was instrumental in revitalizing the Batman character from the Dayglow pop of the TV show into the Dark Knight we know today. Their take on Batman can be felt in iterations that have come from both Frank Miller all the way to Christopher Nolan. And he had just an unbelievable career. He was a big convention guy. Also, he was a big, he was at every convention. That's why when I heard of his passing, actually, I was a little surprised, because even post COVID, I think I was at one or two conventions, and he was rocking it. He was still there and still doing it. So, ultimate, big loss for the comic book world, no question about it. Do you have any? Because did you I think, what was it, the New Jersey Expo? You had to man his booth or something, right? Was that something? You have great stories, by the way. You don't know you have great stories. You don't think you have great stories, but you have all these I was bodyguard for this guy. I had to do this. Yeah, I had to man the line here. So you got to actually talk and hang with him, right? Am I remembering the correct? I'm remembering this correctly. Am I right?
I did. I worked for him very briefly for the New Jersey Expo.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. He and his wife.
Right.
And I just helped them I helped them maintain their booth because he had an enormous booth. Like it was just covered in it was covered in art, like either commissioned pieces of work, or like work for his own sketchbooks, or his own picture books, which he called them. Then a ton of just paraphernalia for from the millions of comic books that he did, and it was everywhere. And he had a ton of stuff, and there was and there were sticky fingers at those conventions. So part of the job was just to make sure that that anyone who walked away with something had put money into Mr. Adams' pocket before they got away with the goods. So
the very heart of a transaction.
Yes, and in the process, I spoke to him quite extensively. I think the thing about him that amazed me the most was I grew up with his art. I mean, it's just synonymous. Neal Adams is it's like John Byrne, or a number of others. There's just it's work that's synonymous for our generation, especially.
Yeah,
and I was just astonished at his real life work. Like his like he'd done a whole bunch of pieces for a lot of pop culture things, like The Walking Dead or Star Wars or whatever. And his comic book stuff, his cartooning, was impeccable. But his fine art, his real life depictions of things were mind blowing. It was, and he had a ton of that stuff. I've got maybe 5 prints. He awarded me 5 prints after I survived that weekend of fighting off the hordes that were trying to steal stuff off of his booth.
Wow!
So it was
there's just thefting going on left and right, huh?
It was kind of crazy because
it is actually incredible.
He had a booth. He had a small press booth, almost the size of like the Wizard booth, like almost the size of. And he couldn't. He and his wife were up front with the cash register. So he could do autographs, and his wife could work the cash register. So because of the way they designed the booth and the way they were positioned, they just could not look after the rest of the booth. So you just had to be there swatting sticky fingers away. And I mean, it turned. I said, "Oh, this will be easy," because I mean, come on.
Wow.
And it obviously. It was not easy. It was.
It's amazing you bring that up because I read a lot on social media, like Twitter and things like that, of like, or Facebook, where these comic book artists are like, and to whoever stole my portfolio, you a-hole. Like it happens, and then there's a whole business of having to then track eBay for where these things go up and catch them in the act. So it's.
And you have to report them and post them. This is stolen merchandise because I never sold this and this and that.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. So I guess his goal was to avoid that at all costs, and that's what he did. That's what I helped him do. So, but I mean, in the process of doing all that, I got a chance to talk to Neal Adams quite a bit. He is a man of immense talent.
Mm-hmm.
He was also a man, and this is no knock on him. He was also a man quite aware that he was an immense talent. And I don't think I'm saying anything that no one else knows about Neal Adams. He was, he's very proud of his work.
Good.
And he was, he had every right to be honest.
That's all I want. By the time I'm 80, I want people to be like, you did all right. You did good. I've had 1 or 2 moments. I had, we actually had him on the show a few years ago promoting his Kickstarter comic, but he was like, I bought your Sire book when I was 12. And then he was like, it's like 10 years or 10, 15 years later, and he's making his own comics. And he's like, I remember buying it. I was a kid and blah, blah, blah. So I trust me, I only have 1 or 2 moments like that. I can only imagine, when you have.
He's probably bored with that by now,
do you ever 80. Get bored of that? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. I'd like to have that.
I'd like to have that as a thing, right? Like, what a luxury. What a luxury. Well,
accolades and adulation up until.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. I hear you on that. Sorry, you were,
Did we drop out?
A little bit. But I covered it up pretty good. I covered it up.
You did.
Good.
You did.
The funny thing is, you don't realize you're dropped out, or maybe I don't maybe I'm dropped out. I don't know. Who knows? But
no. Sometimes 1 or 2 times you've dropped out, and you you've kept going. So what can be done?
That's all you can do. All right.
That's why I always move around so that people know that when I've dropped out.
Don't give it away, because there's times when I literally just if I have to re-record something, I'll just plug a picture of you and no one knows the difference. It doesn't move, but they're like, it's cool. Like, they just don't know. Coming up next, we're gonna do a Rogue review, Rogue reaction to Moon Knight. The whole show has wrapped, all 6 episodes. I am intently curious as to your reaction to the show as a whole and the final episode, because I have 2 different opinions of the show as a whole versus just that final episode that aired. We will be spoiler free. We'll make this a spoiler free review. But
I'm gonna spoil it. I'm gonna spoil that in.
What's that?
I'm gonna spoil the ending.
Are you?
I'm totally gonna give it away. What happened?
I will say this: somebody on Twitter noted. They noted something really cool. Actually, we'll save it for next segment. All right, when we come back, Rogue reaction, Moon Knight. When we come back. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. Just a reminder again, go on to roguematter.com. Everything up there is free to consume. We've got comics, ebooks, podcasts. Today's drop is the Data Decoded podcast, so please go check that out. Go to roguematter.com and you can check out all this cool stuff. All right, we are going to do, I got a really cool graphic for this, which is kind of cool. I'm very excited about all this. I'm more excited about the graphic than I am about the show, although I like the show a lot, but that's how much I like this graphic. It's a Rogue review Moon Knight. Now, we are going to do we're going to react to both the series as a whole, and we're going to talk about the final episode as well, too. So here's my take on this, right? The rumblings on the internet that I kept hearing about Moon Knight as it was progressing was there's not enough Moon Knight. It's not him in costume. Even the critics are saying that too. They're like, this is a great Oscar Isaac show. It's not a great Moon Knight show. But, and this is coming from somebody who's been making comics for 15 plus years, who's been a comic book fan for 30 years or so since I was a little kid. Really dated myself there. I feel like we are so oversaturated with comic book content now. It's the only content I feel like that's out there that you know, the communal world seems to gravitate towards now, that I am okay with a series that only focuses on Oscar Isaac and it's more of a psychological story than it is a superhero story. In fact, it is a breath of fresh air to get that in a superhero story. I thought episode 5, not the one that aired today, but the one last week, where it was a journey through his psyche into the afterlife. You know, was he in a psych ward? Was this whole thing not real? Or was it, you know, was the whole thing in his head the entire time? Or no, he's really journeying into this afterlife. Like, I loved that. I thought that was probably the highlight of the entire series, was that episode. I thought that whole episode to me was the standout. I also thought that from a pacing standpoint, I was definitely on the edge of my seat wondering, okay, how is this going to play out? How is this going to go? I also loved the fact that it was happening kind of in real time to what was happening in the quote unquote real world with Ethan Hawke's character, you know, seemingly having shot and killed him. And there's all these souls kind of dripping in, which again, then you kind of realize by episode 6, kind of like, you know, what's happening with that. So I had nothing but good things to say about Moon Knight as a whole. I'm glad we didn't see him in costume a lot. I'm glad even in the final episode, there was some cool action scenes and things like that, but they ended up not, you know, leaning on that and making it more of a character-driven psychological, you know, journey. And that to me is what I enjoyed about Moon Knight. Now, that all being said, that last episode, pacing wise, did not live up to the previous episode. It was a little clunky. It was choppy. It felt rushed. The episode 5 felt like everything happened at the pace it was supposed to. Episode 6 felt like, okay, we got to wrap this up, people. This is our last episode. Like, I felt like they could have broken that up into 2 episodes easily and gotten more in depth to it, or at least mirrored the pacing. It just felt like, okay, he was there, and oh no, it's time to go back now. And that's, I don't know, something about it with trying to be as spoiler free as possible here just rubbed me the wrong way.
Okay. You're done?
You're done talking about it? You can cut it at any point.
I'm waiting for you to be finished. Yeah, I don't know anything about Moon Knight. I never knew anything about Moon Knight. I never read any of the books or any of the iterations of Moon Knight at all. So, this is probably a hard way. Watching the show was probably a hard way to get to know the character, because it wasn't a straightforward way of explaining who the character was or showcasing the character by any stretch of the imagination. However, I like the style. I think it was stylistically well done in order to bring off the show. I do agree with you that episodes 5 and 6 were rushed through so that we could get through 3 and 4, which I think were terrible.
Right. So
they don't know how to do these things yet. I don't know why there's only 6 episodes. Like, there's weird things. The things I would consider wrong with Moon Knight are things that are wrong with the format or wrong with the medium in and of itself, or media, because it's more than one. Everything is this kind of weird, non-committal, sprints of semi-greatness, and surrounded by a lot of mediocrity and a lot of wool gathering. A lot of forced, stretched time.
Yeah.
And filler. And so there's a lot of empty calories to come with it. It was a decent meal, ultimately, all 6 of them together. And that's the thing that you have to do to save these things. And the problem is, no one's got time to go through those things all over again if you're going to watch it from week to week. So the Book of Boba Fett. Now, I went back and watched the Book of Boba Fett from start to finish. It's not bad. But from week to week, it's bad weekly content. And the same, I suspect, is going to be for Moon Knight. If you watch it all together, it's going to be like, all right, that's pretty solid. That's a pretty solid exploit. But watching it from week to week, since they are bad installments, or half decent installments of, without, again, I keep stressing this, without a 3-act structure for each episode. Then a lot of the stuff in the middle seems to be just delaying. We have to fill up 6 episodes worth of content, so we're just gonna keep the Confuserama going at full bleed, and and keep having him, having the time dilation situation with him, blacking out and losing minutes and coming back, and then we'll just keep that up instead of explaining it, because by the time they get to episode 5 and they start explaining all of it, people are locked in all over again. But it seems like a running gag, especially with the MCU shows, where they backload the entire season to the last episode of the last 2 episodes, and you're stuck just kind of reconciling all the content with what you've seen before.
Yeah. You said you thought episode 5 was rushed. I didn't think it was. I thought episode 5 was very nicely paced.
I said episode 6, but everything.
Oh, okay.
Everything was backloaded.
I wasn't sure.
Everything was backloaded in episode 5 and 6. So, like you're at this point where you're like, all right. And then also, this show does something that I hate, which is I don't know exactly what you would call the genre, but it was unreliable narrative genre, like the entire, it's like Legion, which I could not get into Legion, because
someone else had made that comment to me that it felt.
Yeah, I don't know what's up from down. I don't know what's really happening versus what's all in his mind. Now, this show does it a lot less than it seems like it's going to do from that first episode. And after a while, like you said, I think it's because of Oscar Isaac. He pulls the sympathy strings. He does such a great job of dramatizing the dilemma that you're with him while he's working it out. But that is not a good format to do for anybody. That's not something that any actor can do. That is specifically high caliber actor material to do. So I think it works this time because of Oscar Isaac.
Oh yeah, he was great. I mean, he was brilliant in that. This is a spoiler for episode 5 for anybody who, we're trying to be spoiler free for episode 6. This is airing the same, day that it dropped. So we're giving people a little bit of time to catch up. When the alternate personality of his sacrifices himself, I thought that was an amazing moment. And I thought that was something, again, where kudos to Oscar Isaac for creating 2 separate characters that I both equally liked. Right?
To the point where that almost, the only thing they're doing is wearing different clothes. So, I mean, it's not the first time I've seen that.
Accents, right? But
I'm saying they're identical. Beside, they're completely identical, other than his personality, the way he imbues them. And part of that portrayal is the accent. So that's I'm including all that into it.
Yeah, no, and that to me is amazing that he's able to do that and create.
Yeah, it's very Orphan Black. It's very it's very Tatiana Maslany, kind of caliber of portrayal. It's amazing. I like I said, he basically pulled that entire show himself. Now he was supposed to, right? It's not like he was a dark horse like side character, right? And I enjoyed Ethan Hawke. I thought he was a decent villain.
I thought he was very good. Yeah,
and he was very quiet, very calm menace. It's very hard to pull off the calm menace. And the who's gaslighting everybody into thinking that, he's trying to bring about peace when he's actually, wrecking everybody and destroying everyone left and right, whose scales don't balance. I thought for all of the wool gathering it did for episodes 2, 3, and 4, it didn't make a lot of things, abundantly clear. Like that Harrow was Khonshu's original, or one of his, original avatars. It kind of makes that clear. Doesn't make clear that the way they kind of broke up, and they, or how Harrow still has, some supernatural, tendencies. Even though he had not become Amat's avatar until later in the show. So, for all the time that it wasted, it could have explained a heck of a lot more and just didn't bother to. So that's one of my things with it. And then I'm very legendary for having a complaint about the costume. I'm over that. I think the costume is okay.
Yeah.
I think it was really good. I'm fine with seeing more. I hope it goes on, or I'm sure they're not going to get a season 2, but he's going to be part of the cinematic universe in some ways. Because Kevin Feige did say that he's got other plans. He's got more plans. It's not the last you're going to see of Moon Knight, but he didn't say they're getting a season 2. But
if you noticed on Twitter, it said season finale, not series finale. Somebody actually caught that.
But they've done that. They do that a lot. They extended series, limited series finale, and then it never comes back. They had the season finale for WandaVision,
right?
But she's not coming back. She's not getting another season. So I mean, that doesn't mean it. That's the internet doing the internet again.
Yeah.
I think if Kevin Feige, look, it could come back, but I think if Kevin Feige was sure it was coming back, he would say, you will see Moon Knight again in season 2.
Yeah.
So like, why would you waste an opportunity to advertise something upcoming?
Yeah.
You wouldn't. So that's my take on it. I did enjoy it. I will watch it again. I will sift through it from beginning to end again. There's just so much other stuff that needs to be viewed first. But pertaining to this particular segment, I really don't. It sounds like I'm pooping on it, but I really don't have too much negative to say. But I think most of that is because of Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
I think if this was in the hands of fledgling creators with a fledgling actor, and they were relying on the Moon Knight spectacle to pull them over the finish line, like, you know, to be their Batman or something like that, I think it would have failed. I think leaning heavily on the talents of a really great actor and making it a psychological romp instead of a you know a Michael Bay type roller coaster ride with a you know with an obscure superhero visual, I don't think it would have worked as well as it does.
What do you guys think? Chime in the comments and on the Facebook feed, on the YouTube feed. I got to be honest, I don't monitor the Twitch feed as much as I should. Maybe I will this time, but you know, comment there, comment on Twitter, all that stuff. Coming up next, we've got a great interview. It's one of my favorite of all time. One of my favorite celebrity interviews of all time. Actress Ceila Au, star of the new movie In a New York Minute, coming up next. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. Thrilled to be joined by actress Ceila Au. How are you doing, Celia?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Very good. You are the star of a new movie coming out. Is it out at this point, or is it it's coming out?
May 3rd. Check it out on May 3rd.
All right, May 3rd. This is fantastic. It is called In a New York Minute. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about the film and your role?
Awesome. So In a New York Minute it's a film about following 3 Asian girls living in New York and kind of everything got linked together because of a pregnancy test, and it goes through all 3 storylines, and you see like the struggles of New Yorkers in New York City, and the girls face, you know, one storyline, it's Amy, and it's about her trying to find herself in a way of, like, you know, how to tell how she really feels to her family. And she's a food editor, and because of a bad breakup she couldn't eat anymore, so that kind of messed with her career. Then Angel's storyline, it's about an actress who's married and who kind of like home life has been a little dull, and meets this guy that's like creative and fantastic, and then they have an affair, and wanting to then be with him, and then things happen, and then
Don't give away the film. Everyone's got to go. You go out there and stream it. You stream it right now.
And then Lena's storyline, which is the one that I'm in, it's she's a young kid, like a younger girl living in New York, working at night as an escort because she's trying to pay for her own living, supporting her dad's medical bills, and then soon she meets someone that she likes and maybe wants to start a normal life with.
I watching the film, I got kind of like a sliding doors vibe to it. It felt fun to like follow the adventures of these 3 women. And when you read the script, what were you feeling when you first got your hands on it?
Well, first of all, this film was made pre-pandemic, like I want to say 2017 into 2018 is when we did this. And
you're like a totally different person now.
Yeah, completely different person. Who am I? But when I first read the script, I'm like, wow, this is refreshing, something new, something different, right? Because mostly when we see Asian Americans on screen is either, you know, an action film, a comedy, a rom-com, you know, Crazy Rich Asians has been out. But oh wait, Crazy Rich Asians hasn't been out yet. My fault. I'm gonna take it back. Crazy Rich wasn't. And I remember reading the script being like, oh wow, this is great. It follows 3 women storyline, and already not even Asian itself, female leading stories is rare to come by, and having their struggle and it's being real. And I always think that like storytelling and the movies and films is always like a gateway to seeing someone's life, and like, you know, showing more, like, you know, when you understand how people live, you might have empathy for your neighbor next door, that you're like, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't be so harsh on them, you know, because they're going through something in their lives. And I think that it's a great story to open 3 stories. You know, this film has 3 little separate storyline, and you can see into these characters' lives. Like, there's themes about LGBTQ, you know, there's a theme about adultery, and then there's a theme about Nina, who's escort / you can say kind of sex worker at times, and then having empathy to these storylines and these people.
Now, you were born in Hong Kong, but it's you were raised in Brooklyn. At what point did you move over to Brooklyn from Hong Kong?
I was born in Hong Kong. I came when I was like 3.5.
Okay. So mostly Americanized from the get-go, right?
Pretty much so. Well, I mean, I grew up in an Asian household. My parents owned a video store while I was growing up, so I watched a lot of Chinese cinema, Japanese cinema, Korean cinema. You know, like East Asian cinema was like predominantly something that I grew up with a lot.
Mm-hmm. Now it says though your favorite movie is Gremlins, which I love. I'm
looking these things up. Yeah, that was like one of the films. I remember like my little bits of like memory I have when I was like a baby in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching the Gremlins with my cousins, and the only reason why I remember that is I remember sitting on a couch with a lot of big people around me, and there's this little cute monster on TV. And then I was like, oh my God, that is so cute. What is that thing? And it's Gremlins. I think by the time they turn evil is when my cousin was like, get out of the room. And when I was a little bit older, like in the States, when my parents had the video store, I was rewatching the Gremlins, and I was like, ooh, he's from Hong Kong. He's my people.
You know, that's the amazing part about that film, though, too. It's amazing you brought that up. It doesn't even register to me in that sense, but you're 100% right. I mean, it does have that layer of diversity added to it. I mean, I just remember the cute fuzzy animals. I was maybe like 7 years old, so that's what I remember.
I wanted a gremlin. I wanted a mogwai so badly. I think by the time I was in like junior high school, was it when I was in high school? My parents got us chinchillas. And I was like, oh my God, that's like a gremlin. But they're really, really hard to take care
of. You're allowed to feed them after midnight too, I believe. You know.
Yeah, but you're definitely not allowed to wet them.
No, absolutely not.
And water doesn't blend like gremlins.
I love it. So, I mean, I love your IMDb because it basically is like Gremlins, Independence Day, Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, I want to sit and watch movies with you. Can I do that? Is that allowed?
Oh, yeah, any day. Let's do it.
Like that's
you know, like since I've been working in the industry, I remember when I was a kid, like again, like my parents in their video store will watch like art house films, and I was like, I don't get it. I don't want to watch this. Now I'm like, okay, I get it. I like recently rewatched In the Mood for Love and Happy Together, like the Wong Kar-wai films, and I'm like, oh, everything makes sense now.
No, I get it, and I still would rather sit and watch Independence Day, Gremlins, but that just speaks to me. I think you know, maybe Hassan will watch the art house films with you, and I will watch the popcorn film.
Hassan, are you an art house film person?
No, he's volunteering me like he does as usual. But I'll learn. I'm willing to learn. By the way, you can get a mogwai off of eBay for like $9. It's a stuffed animal. Yeah, no, it's not real, unfortunately. I'm sorry. It'll take me a little longer to find you a real mogwai.
If anyone can do it, Hassan, I think you can.
Yeah, I can do it. I can find a real mogwai.
You better not, though. I mean, we saw it. We know how that movie ends.
I care nothing for rules. I'm not afraid of anything.
Celia, talk to us about the New York Minute and working with your director, who you affectionately call Mandy. So, which I would have no concept that it was Mandy. You're like, oh, it's Mandy, and I'm like, I don't think that's her name.
I know Simon is what she goes. I think her director name is Simon, but she goes by Mandy. She's great. This is her first film first feature that she wrote and directed, and you know, I think it's so nice. There's not a lot of chances for female filmmakers, right? Especially even at an indie film level, making a film is hard enough. Now getting it distributed and having it out in the public, I'm super proud of Mandy, and she's one of the sweetest persons I've worked with. I remember like day one, she was like, "Hey, I want to make sure that, you know, I want to have a predominantly like female leading cast and female leading crew. So most of our department heads are female." And like our costume designer, Lisa, our production designer, our DP Mago, who is such a badass. She literally would grab a camera, like, let's go. And everyone's like, okay, cool. She's awesome. And Mandy's like really great in talking to actors. She would pull people aside. She's like, hey, let me know how you feel. Let's run these lines. I want to make sure everyone feels comfortable before showing up on set. And sometimes, you know, like when people are like a go, go, go constantly, and there's a budget and there's like, you know, they're afraid to go overtime, you lose some of these nuances, which I think Mandy really carefully makes sure everyone feels comfortable and like into their character and explain. And I remember I was like, before I start shooting in a New York Minute, I was in Atlanta shooting something else, and Mandy was like, hey, I'm going to send you a film as a character study. Can you watch this film? I was like, yeah, of course. I watched it alone in my hotel room. I did not know it was like a horror thriller. I was so scared that I called Mandy after. I'm like, oh my God, I can't sleep tonight. This is scary. And she goes, but that character, the female character. I'm like, yeah, the one that got like chopped into pieces. Yeah. She's like, I wonder like how lonely she was, you know, and like everything that she felt that led to her being murdered, right? And I was like, okay. I remember like being in a hotel room, being like, I have to work tomorrow, and
that's when you just yes the director at that point. You go, yes, I do remember. Yes, of course. I was definitely intently studying. Now I must go sit in the tub and
right. And meanwhile, she was watching Gremlins for the 99th time. Yeah. Like, no, I absolutely watched it. I totally watched it.
No, that's amazing. What's your dream role?
My dream, you know what? I don't think I have a specific dream role, because I feel like the idea of even just being an actor is amazing. You get to dip your toes into different characters and seeing like, you know, how different people live their lives and kind of like drill into what their experiences are in life. And I think that's the beauty of acting, right? I don't think there's like one specific like, oh, I like this is like the ultimate thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
But that being said, as an actor, I think it'll be really fun to play like a character from like Orphan Black. Like she played like 20 different characters.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I don't know how she handled the dialogue. It might have driven me insane, but I think that would be a really nice challenge.
She said she did it with playlists. She had a different playlist for each character. So she would listen to the playlist, and that's how she could remember to be in character.
That's actually brilliant. Really. Yeah. Because music is such like a sense memory trigger.
That's pretty much what she said she did. So that's how you do that. Apparently, I have no idea because I've never acted in my life, but apparently that's how it's done.
Really, take notes. I mean, when you're on Orphan Black next, you can get that playlist ready.
Once you take off the glasses, it's someone else, though.
That's true. Oh boy! No. Oh, now this is a record. I don't think. Look, he has not flashed eyes to any other guests we've had on.
She challenged me. I had no choice.
Gates McFadden wanted him to actually teach her how to play the bass because he is an excellent bass player, but he's never revealed himself. So, you know, that's a first.
I own multiple instrument, and I failed at all of them.
Oh,
he thinks he's failed at bass, but he's amazing.
I'm not being interviewed.
You are now. I mean, you know, you lower the shades. That's it. All bets are off, bud. You know, that's it. That's what it comes down to. Is there any franchise you'd want to be a part of? Any of the big franchises, or would you rather stay in the more smaller art house realm?
I mean, I want to do everything, right? I mean, that sounds kind of like every actor is like, I want to do everything, but I want to be a superhero. That'll be dope, right? Like. In the Marvel universe, that would be so much fun. I'm just so curious. Sometimes I'm like, how do they shoot these big scenes? And I'm like, I love to watch like the BTS footage, like, you know, Spider-Man, Tom Holland just flipping around. And I'm like, I want to do that. I was shooting a show where I play like this kind of an ancient monk kind of master type person. And I remember I was like, I want to fly. And they're like, no, you cannot get hurt. And I was like, come on. I can fly, right? I was like, strap me and pull me up. And they're like, no.
Too much insurance.
So serious. My double literally was like, no, Celia.
You have to get big enough to demand to do your own stunts. Get that into your contract.
Yeah.
And then make sure to remember to come back on our show.
And then I hurt my back, and then I hurt my.
What's next for you? What's down there after this is obviously being released May 3rd? What comes next?
I'm actually currently in production for a film called Asian Persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Asian rom-com with Dante Bosco and Pablo from Cinderella with Brandy, Kevin Kreider and I and Casey Conception. So it'll be coming out. I don't know when, but we're just shooting it right now in New York City. That's
fit. Oh, you're in our home territory. We demand a cameo role. That's it. At least Hassan, anyway.
No, stop volunteering me.
With the glasses, and then supposed to take them off. And then he turns over and start playing the bass.
I want him to at least brush his hair back because he has no hair under there, so it's even better. I want you to fall brush it back.
That's why I got the hat on. Now you're giving it all away, man. Just you're ruining me here.
It's turned out to be my favorite interview of all time. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. We've revealed so much about you. We've been doing this show for 7 years, and I know more about you from interviewing Ceila than I've ever. That's not entirely true, but still my favorite interview. So
read my book. Anyway.
Ceila, a pleasure. Please tell the audience where they can consume In a New York Minute.
So right now you can pre-order In a New York Minute on iTunes and Apple TV. And on May 3rd, it's going to be released on multiple VOD platforms like YouTube, Amazon. Mm-hmm. I forgot the Telegram. I'm going to tell us something. Sorry. Oops. Let's do that again.
You'll soon learn. We don't edit on the show. We just run it through.
Oh, no. DirecTV. It's going to be in a bunch of platforms. It's just right now you can pre-order it only on Apple TV and iTunes.
Ceila Au, everyone. Thank you so much. When we come back, more Rogue Wave podcast.
Thanks.
That was our interview with Ceila Au, and I want to thank her. She was fantastic. It was a great look at Hassan. Essentially, that's what I loved about it.
Yeah, I was wearing a mask anyway, so those weren't really my eyes. Don't worry about it. Nothing has been revealed.
Next week, Time Trader number 3 is dropping on the site on roguematter.com. It's created by yours truly. So we are going to go through the best multidimensional stories of all time, and it just so happens to coincide with a little tiny indie film that's dropping called Doctor Strange,
which I hear is a horror film.
Synergy. I've heard that too. I'm excited. I got my tickets. I'm good to go.
We shall
at
see.
some point. Yeah, at some point. So that's all I can say. We'll see you guys.
Indeed.
Next week. Rogue Wave. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wave podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wave podcast.